The sun was dying over Dry Creek, bleeding orange into the clouds, and the dust from the last cattle drive still hung in the air like smoke. The whole town seemed tired. Tired of wind, tired of work, tired of itself. Down at the far end of Main Street, behind Miss Lorna's boarding house, the little bathhouse steamed like a kettle in the dusk. The sound of splashing water drifted into the heat-heavy air, along with the faint, sweet scent of lavender soap. Eliza May Ellis stopped just outside the door, clutching a clean dress to her chest. Her fingers ached from sewing all day, hemming skirts, patching sleeves for women who danced for a living. The small coins she earned from it clinked in her pocket, precious and few. Miss Lorna had pressed them into her hand that afternoon with a firm smile. "You've earned yourself a proper wash, girl. Use the bathhouse tonight. Nobody's reserved it till morning." Eliza had nearly cried from the kindness. The days since she'd come to Dry Creek had been long and hard. She'd ridden into town 3 weeks ago on a wagon piled high with dust and sorrow, the last of her father's debt papers hidden under her skirts. She'd taken the first honest job she could find, washing, stitching, doing whatever Miss Lorna asked. Now, as she stood before the weather-worn bathhouse, she could almost pretend the day's grime would wash away more than dirt. Maybe it would take some of her shame, too. She pushed the door open and stepped into a wall of steam. The air was soft and fragrant, curling around her like the sigh of heaven itself. A single oil lamp flickered from a shelf, its flame trembling. 2 wooden tubs sat side by side, separated by a thin curtain of canvas that swayed gently in the draft. She smiled. Privacy was a luxury, even with a curtain. Eliza set her clean dress on a stool, peeled off her patched work clothes, and slipped into the tub on the right. The water was warm, perfect. It swallowed her up, lapping at her shoulders, and for the first time in weeks, she let her body rest. Her head tipped back against the wood. The world blurred. She thought about her father's ranch back in Kansas, before the drought, before the debts, before she was left alone to bury him in dry soil and ride away from everything she'd ever known. Here in Dry Creek, she was nobody. Just another girl working for a roof and bread, but that was better than being a ghost. She dipped her hands into the water and sighed, eyes closed. Then a deep voice broke the stillness. "Didn't reckon I'd have company tonight." Eliza froze. Her eyes flew open, and through the steam she saw the faint outline of a man on the other side of the curtain. He was sitting in the opposite tub, water sloshing softly as he leaned forward. The lamplight caught the curve of his shoulder, the edge of his jaw. She gasped. "Oh, dear Lord." The man didn't move. "You one of Lorna's new girls?" He drawled, his voice low and rough as gravel. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I didn't know anyone was in here. She said it was empty." He chuckled, a sound half amusement, half disbelief. "Guess she forgot to mention I'm still breathing." Eliza turned scarlet. "Turn around this instant!" He didn't. She could hear the smile in his voice. "Ain't seen your face yet, ma'am. Just steam and noise. Turn around!" she squeaked, clutching her arms across her chest even though the curtain shielded her. "You have no decency at all." There was a pause, and then his tone softened. "All right. Don't mean no harm." She heard the water shift, a quiet splash, the sound of him moving, turning his back. Her heart pounded so hard it shook the water. She should get out. She had to get out. Her trembling hand reached for the towel she'd laid on the stool. She stood carefully, trying to keep her footing on the slick boards. Her legs wobbled from heat and panic. She caught the edge of the curtain with her hand, then her heel slid out from under her. Her cry broke through the air, sharp and terrified. In an instant, strong hands caught her. She didn't even see him move. One moment she was falling, the next she was pressed against a chest slick with water, his arm firm around her back. The world shrank to steam, heartbeat, breath. "You all right?" His voice was quiet now, close enough that she could feel the warmth of it on her ear. Eliza's breath came in gasps. Her towel had fallen away, her hands clutching for modesty, her mind a storm of shock and humiliation. Let go of me," she stammered, her cheeks burning hotter than the bath. He hesitated. His grip loosened, careful, as though he were holding something fragile. "I'm trying to help, miss. Don't touch me." He stepped back at once, the water rippling between them. She grabbed her towel and wrapped it tight, her entire body shaking. When she finally dared look up, she saw him clearly for the first time. He stood half in shadow, broad-shouldered and bare from the waist up. A scar curved along his collarbone. His hair was dark, dripping wet, his expression unreadable but not mocking. "I'm sorry," he said simply. "Didn't mean to scare you." His voice wasn't the rough arrogance she'd expected. It carried something steadier, quieter. Eliza pressed herself against the wall, clutching the towel. "Who are you?" "Cole Avery," he said. "Sheriff of this town." Her heart gave another jolt. "The sheriff. I didn't know—" He gave a faint, almost apologetic smile. "Not exactly how I hope to meet a lady." Her lips trembled. "Nor I, sir." The silence that followed was thick with awkward heat. The only sound was the water settling back into stillness, the hiss of the oil lamp. He turned away, grabbing his shirt from a peg and pulling it on. His movements were slow, deliberate, giving her space. "You can use the tub, miss. I'll take my leave." She blinked, startled by his gentleness. "No, I'll go. I've caused enough trouble." "You ain't caused trouble," he said quietly, buttoning his shirt. "You just walked through the wrong door." He moved toward the exit, hand on the latch. But then he paused. "What's your name?" She hesitated, still hugging the towel to her chest. Eliza May Ellis." He nodded once. "Miss Ellis," he said, his voice softening. "Dry Creek's not kind to new folks. You ever need something, you come find me." Her throat worked. "After tonight, I don't think I'll be doing that, Sheriff." A small smile flickered across his face. "Suit yourself." He stepped out into the night, the door creaking shut behind him. For a long while, Eliza just stood there, her heart hammering. The steam drifted around her, the lamp guttered low. She pressed a hand to her chest, trying to calm the storm inside her. The next morning, the wind off the plains was sharp enough to cut through wool. Dry Creek had woken to another hard day, wagons creaking, roosters crowing, and the same layer of dust painting every rooftop the color of sorrow. But Eliza May Ellis felt every whisper of that wind like it carried his voice. She had spent most of the night lying awake, staring at the ceiling of Miss Lorna's rooming house, replaying every second of that awful, humiliating, impossible moment in the bathhouse. She'd wanted to crawl out of her own skin with shame. Every time she closed her eyes, she could see him, Sheriff Cole Avery, standing there in the steam, calm, steady, far too close. And worse, she remembered the heat that had rippled through her when he'd caught her, when his hand had steadied her waist before letting go. He'd been kind about it, more than she expected a man of his kind to be, but that only made it worse. Kindness to her was dangerous. It softened her guard, made her feel things she'd long since locked away. By mid-morning, she was back to work, sewing a torn corset for one of Miss Lorna's girls. The rhythmic sound of needle and thread helped, a steady pulse against the noise of her thoughts. But when the front door downstairs opened, she flinched at the sound of his voice. "Morning, Miss Lorna," the sheriff said. "Got a delivery for one of your boarders." Her breath caught. Miss Lorna laughed in that high, smoky tone of hers. "You mean Eliza, don't you? Poor thing's been mortified since last night." "Can't say I blame her," Cole replied easily. "Still, she left something behind." Eliza's cheeks burned. She wanted to run out the back door and never come back, but her feet wouldn't move. Miss Lorna called up the stairs. "Eliza! Sheriff Avery's here for you." She took a slow breath, wiped her hands on her apron, and descended. He stood in the front room like he belonged there. Tall, sunburned, hat tipped slightly, the morning light catching the dust on his coat. In his hand was her shawl, folded neatly, edges straight, still faintly smelling of lavender soap. He smiled just a little when he saw her. "Left this behind," he said. She swallowed. "You didn't have to bring it yourself, Sheriff." "I'd have managed." "May,